Hello, and welcome everybody. This is me, one of my name, the Hub Critic, back with another video. This time, I am going to do another Wrestle-Talk, and if you've seen from the bit at the start there, I am going to be talking rumors, Raw review, Raw results, NXT results, and also I will be talking some 2K16 news, which is a first on this channel. If you don't already know, I am a pretty big fan of the WWE 2K16 video game, or all the video games that they had before. Since WWE13, I have been collecting them. 2K14, 2K15, and now 2K16, most anticipated one yet, in my opinion. But we're going to go into that in a sec, talk about all the new cool stuff there. It's pretty damn intense. And yeah, it's just a really exciting thing to, anticipate for this coming year, as we'll see a lot of new superstars get included. But of course, that is what's to come in for the coming weeks. So yeah, that's all to come. Of course, or sorry, coming months, I would say, more likely. But of course, this week we had a pretty damn amazing episode. Or sorry, it wasn't alright. Why did I say amazing? It was an alright, I guess, your typical sort of episode of NXT. I think it was a little bit under the line of, say, entertaining. I had to skip through a few bits because I just found it a little bit less than exemplary for NXT's usual, standard. But anyway, I'm going to go in, talk about everything that happens, you know the drill. We started off, obviously, in Orlando, Florida, and we witnessed the crowning of a new NXT champion in Finn Balor over the weekend. And obviously, I did a review on that, a preview of that, so I'm all up to date on the Beast Knees pay-per-view. I really don't know to go into much more on Finn Balor. I do have to say, well, this has pretty amazing moment, of course, in his life. I've seen some other interviews that he's done, very entertaining, very interesting to hear his own opinion. I definitely think that this was a well-made little montage for the beginning of NXT, which summed up everything completely very quickly. So it was good to get it through there, to acknowledge it, because he wasn't, as I sort of knew, not on NXT, and that's probably due to the bookings. You know what? I like the booking. Of course, they're not going to have the main eventers or the champions on each week, as they usually don't, but they're going to have a good main event to build up other storylines and feuds. I'm looking at, unlike someone else, I'm looking at you, Raw. Anyway, they do actually give the main eventers a break for NXT. Anyway, we go right on to our first match. Was an NXT Women's Champion Sasha Banks comes out to Emma and Dana Brooke. She admits to Emma and Dana Brooke that she doesn't have a tag team partner with her. She admits she didn't find one. She sort of just stands up on her own and says, "I will fight against two of you." So it'll be like a handicap match. She gets ready. She's looking like it's going to happen. And of course, Charlotte comes out. Yes, this is probably the most obvious one here. So yeah, I'm glad Charlotte came out. I have to say, I know I sort of said Becky Lynch, but you know what, Charlotte, that makes more sense. It was sort of a reunion, once in a lifetime. I wouldn't say in a lifetime, but one time in an NXT careers reunion of the BFFs, which I wasn't around for that faction, so I don't know how well that went. I mean, I think it must have been a good faction because they worked incredibly well in the ring together. Definitely the two strongest in the ring in NXT at the moment. Definitely captivated the crowd there tonight. So yeah, it was a decent standard match against, as I mentioned before, Emma and Dana Brooke. You know what? Dana Brooke is surprising me. She worked a really good match. Well, at least, yeah, I think so. And Emma was there as well. So yeah, we saw the BFFs get the win. It was a great little moment there on NXT, and it was fun to see them get the win. So, they sort of do that. They celebrate a bit. They do. The finish was good as well, I have to say. We see Sasha Banks lock in the bank statement along with Charlotte going on Dana Brooke with the figure 8. But, of course, Sasha Banks gets the submission. So, yeah, two amazing submissions from two amazing competitors. they instantly clicked. Yeah, I have to say that. So after the bout, we see Charlotte ask the boss, who owed her one from the beginning of the match, if she said, you owe me one if you let me compete alongside you. And so she challenges her to the NXT Women's title. Now that's cool. So I think that, Sasha Banks is giving Charlotte a lot of respect here, and vice versa. But I really think that this is a cool moment. I mean, you could see Sasha Banks could have just gone and done a handicap, probably getting beaten up against, a Dana Brooke and Emma, but she's got a dignity to keep, so she obviously tags with Charlotte. And so there's a lot of reasons she could have done that and not done it, but I guess she really thinks that she really owes a little bit of respect and pays a little bit of homage to Charlotte, and so I think it's a fair deal to have a match. So that's what they chose to do. So you know what? Sasha Banks choosing in that, we're going to see that match next week. Yeah, it was amazing to think that we're going to have a big women's championship match next week, but that is incredibly accurately true as what's coming up, because we're going to see that match next week, obviously, as I just mentioned there. But anyway, that's great news for next week. Instant predictions I have to make pertain to that match. I will say it right here, right now. Sasha Banks will win the match. Yeah, it's a pretty obvious choice there. Sasha Banks is going to have an amazing match, I hope, with Charlotte. I mean, we've seen it here tonight. They can pull off something like this in a tag team match. Imagine what they can do with each other. So yeah, I hope this match gets stretched out to whatever, like 10-minute, 15-minute match. I think that'd be pretty appropriate in the main event next week. So that's what I'm saying. But NXT, they like to mix up the main event quite a bit. And yeah, judging by our last few women's championship main events, they have been pretty awesome. And even on NXT, they have been awesome. So I'm really excited for this match. More than I would be, I guess, for the number one contender tag team match that we had this week. A little bit more than that. I'll get to that in a minute. But this one was just a wonderful showcase for the two of them. So I love it, and you know what? 5 star. Yeah. So Solomon Crowe, looking to establish himself in the NXT Championship picture, went into a match with Marcus Louise. If you don't know who Marcus Louise is, I think I've talked about him a few times having matches. He is basically the psychopathic, grungy little crawled out of the gutter, or mental home, whatever you choose to say, some sort of broken down. Apparently he's a Frenchman, who just completely owns his character here. Is one of the scariest people I've seen in WWE in the past 10-15 years. Seriously, I'm not even trying to underestimate. He's actually creepy looking. Like, you see some people who just have that look. He's got that look of a psychopathic, sort of hunchback type character. I don't know how to say this, but anyway, he loses to Solomon Crowe, obviously. Solomon Crowe is a really surprisingly good match. I mean, I'm saying surprisingly, but no, not really surprisingly. I sort of expected him to pull something out like this, and it was a really good match. So yeah, hats off to him. A really unorthodox style wrestling, which I would definitely admit to saying they both had in this match. But Solomon Crowe went for, god damn it, I can't remember what the name of the finisher was. A great finisher, I have to say. So well done to Solomon Crowe. Pretty damn good finish. So yeah, I even like his backstage segments where he's in his little crow's nest, him talking about, it was the crowbar, was it? It was a submission as well. So another submission finish on the show. We're starting to see a little bit of pattern here. Don't worry, we're going to stop. That pattern will stop, obviously. But you know what? Tonight we had a announcement that the Beast in the East match would be repeated. So now this is sort of a weird thing to do, I would have to say. Oh yeah, great, Finn Balor gets some, a big celebration here in NXT. That's what I thought something like that would happen, I guess we're going to have to wait till next week in NXT, which is why I'm saying this is sort of not a greatest episode, as I think, obviously we know that this was on the WWE Network, NXT, right? So they're showing the winning match of Finn Balor, which makes a little to no sense considering you could just watch it anyway on the W Network on the Beast in the East pay-per-view. But I guess I know they're trying to show it here so that people will go and check that out. So yeah, that makes sense. A bit of show. Just in case someone hasn't watched it yet, it's just a bit of a more advertising for that. So yeah, that's very logical there. But of course, I didn't like it at all. I did like it, but I just didn't watch the match again, to be honest. I may watch it again. It's just I didn't feel like watching it on NXT. I wanted to see some, updates on the stories and stuff like that. But it was the complete same stuff. I've already talked about that a few days ago, so I'm not going to go back over it just yet. So, yeah, I could have passed on that bit, and then we got to the main event of NXT. It was the Vaudevillains versus Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, an NXT Tag Team title number 1 contenders match. So this one was quite a big match, I have to say. It didn't feel too big, but yes, it actually is, indeed. Because, well, we see the Vaudevillains make the return, have a few good winning matches. Remember we saw them against the Lucha Dragons in their furious encounters, but they never managed to get their hands on the NXT Tag Team titles. And Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, they've been part of this faction that really has also never been gotten their chance to get the tag team titles. So 4 battling competitors, 2 on each side, really square off to find out who could become the future of the tag team division. And this indeed is so, because I think whoever's going to win this is pretty much guaranteed to beat Wesley and Blake. Seriously, Blake and Murphy, as you know what, I think that Blake and Murphy have been off TV for a while. I think they're ready to drop the titles. This could be the future of the tag team titles. If they could be, the titleist holders, and they could end up in a feud with the other team in this tag team. Because really, at the moment, these are the 2 tag teams that I like, that I think will be up there, competing. Obviously, we've got a little featurette of our new team, which I think is Chad Gable and his partner, can't remember his name. Those 2 are also going to be a good tag team, I think, coming up. So you know what? These are the built tag teams we have really at the moment that are the most fleshed out. These are the most over tag teams at the moment, I would say. The Vaudevillains being the heels, but look at this. The Vaudevillains get the win. They use quick tags to control the bout, keeping Amore on his toes. Though the NXT Universe railed behind Enzo, English and Gotch dominated the bout, keeping him in their half of the ring. Yeah, I would say this. It was a little bit more lopsided of a match against Enzo and Cassidy. I'm not saying that they didn't do too badly, but really, you have to say they did end up losing this match, and it looked like Amore and Cassidy were on the verge of victory towards the end, but these things always happen. Enzo hitting a crossbody block off the top rope on English, but English reversed it into a pin and covers them for the 1-2-3, earning the Vaudevillains a chance to challenge NXT Tag Team title champions Blake and Murphy. That is crazy. That's probably the first time that their finisher has been reversed, so it felt like a big thing. I was expecting loads and loads of boos. That wasn't that bad, but yeah, obviously very sad, very, very, very bad. I hate this. I'm sorry. I think that was, in my opinion, a bit of bad booking there. This all seems to make sense that they're probably going to take the titles off Blake and Murphy in order to, I think, personally, get titles away from Blake and Murphy so they can have a feud with Cassidy and Amore. Please do something like this. But anyway, you know what? I really have nothing too positive to say about the match. Not one of their best encounters, but yeah, it was quite a dominant match. I wanted to see a bit more from Cassidy. I don't know, he didn't get too much into this. He did obviously back up Amore, as he always does, and that was it for NXT. So yes, that is it. A bit disappointing, but we're starting to see a trend of, I wouldn't say a trend of bad ones, but just, so-so NXTs. I'm definitely excited for next week, as we're going to have a big main event. And yes, I know we've got all the new people like Samoa Joe, Rhino, they're all here, but I want to see a little bit more of them. I want to see a bit more, I don't know, something from them. And come on, go back to the Hideo's Tammy storyline. We want to see. I really want to hope that they start going back to that, because obviously we've seen him watching from the Beast in the East. You know, they're still with the storyline. Obviously, they're keeping it current, and they're currently going on. But you know what? See more of that main storyline. Obviously, I don't care for them. For the fat guy. Anyway. The fat guy. I'm not saying Hideo Itami's fat. I'm talking about someone else, but I can't remember his name. Yeah, that was it for NXT. There you go. Thank you very much. See you next time, NXT. I'm not talking about seeing you next time, guys. But anyway, oh yeah, also NXT Takeover Brooklyn. We see some trailers for this, or promotions for the new Brooklyn Takeover, which is our third or fourth takeover of the year, third I think. And this time, it's our first ever takeover outside of Florida. About overdue, I think, timing. But we're going to see it this August. Quoted here, for the first time ever, NXT TakeOver emanates live from Brooklyn, New York during SummerSlam 2015 week. August 22nd, so it's during that Brooklyn week. And that's really exciting to hear. Now let's get to the bit of the Wrestle-Talk where I talk about something quite close to me, I don't know, but it's WWE Tough Enough. And I'm going to go through basically all 3 weeks that we've had so far. Basically the show is a reality-based show, a bit more reality than the last couple of seasons. I know I've only seen the first season, but I know from experience that, well, there, I guess, is a bit more live based. Basically, in each episode they will have basically they'll have the live audience there from the very start watching the episode. They'll have clips and they'll have like challenges each week, so on and so forth. You'll have your 3 judges, Hulk Hogan, Paige, and Danny Bryan sitting down commenting on stuff, and then we'll get to the voting process. I'll get to that in a minute, but basically they'll be in the barracks, which is where they live, doing basically that's where they're gonna basically live for a couple of weeks, you know, a lot of weeks. And anyway, they have to do these challenges, live here, in order to get their chance to do what they really want to do. Are the basic basically they live with these coaches who train them up and do the challenges with them, which are Billy Gunn, Booker T and Lita, and it's pretty cool because they give them input. There's some advice given, but there's also, like in the old seasons, they will bring in some extra superstars who will help out in the process of doing challenges. They've had Roman Reigns, they've had Seth Rollins in the 3rd week, which was really nice. Just to give you like an example, Seth Rollins came in and they were doing a Superstars challenge, somewhere character based, where they had basically all the superstars were given the name of a gimmick that they had to perform, such as, say, King of the Ring. So they would have to do their own spin, get a costume, pick it out. Seth Rollins would help out, you know, with some input into their character. Then they would go to the ring and they would maybe say something, act in that character in their entrance, which is a good example of one there, which is very enjoyable there in the 3rd week. There's some physical ones earlier on. I know, like, basically a lot of the backlash or the sort of competitiveness taken overboard is basically propelled from the challenges. So you're going to see a lot of drama upheld over those challenges. So that's probably a big selling point, is the whole drama that happens in the house. Yeah, surprisingly enough, it started very early on. We've there were some people who really did make an impact earlier on. There was obviously the interviews on the sidelines, which were quite good. Yeah, no one really stood out to me in the first few weeks, but by the third week it was kind of clear who I was thinking would go, who would be the winners. So this is what always happens with these seasons. You sort of pick out your favourites from the first few weeks. You kind of get an understanding, and then you realise, okay, these people, who I want to win. The final 13 tough enough competitors were Mada, the Egyptian guy, Hank, Daria, Joshua, Gabby, Patrick, Diana, Alexander, Sarah Lee, Zizi, Zamaria, Georgia, Amanda, and Tanner. And the whole show has them do these challenges. Then every single week they will be in this live show. So they will come out, and then they will be able to talk about what happened in the episode. The judges are likely to critique on what they do. Especially Paige is the most critical of the three, I would say. The judges, I would say, are a little bit uneven. I would say that they kind of... I know for me, personally, I think that all the judges have to have an equal say in what's going on. Which, yeah, they do sort of dole it out. But, I don't know, some of them can be quite... I guess Paige gets most of the hard choices. She kind of leads the pack, I would say. And she sort of makes the hard decisions. But anyway, yeah, Paige would be my favourite of the three, even though she can get quite, but she can get quite something else. But most of the time, there is good drama there. Paige does like to get into drama a bit, but she's fair, I think, enough. And her statements that she says and what happens in the episodes. So the judging happens basically. It's an interesting way of doing it, which I don't really agree on too much. But basically, Hulk Hogan, Paige, and Daniel Bryan, the three of them, they all choose one person that they want to put in the bottom three. Now, it doesn't matter whoever else thinks differently of these people. They would have people saying who they think should be in the bottom three. These three people will automatically be down there, and leave it up to the home audience, who get to judge on who should go home in the bottom one. So but they basically don't do it that way. Instead they vote for the favourite. So it's this weird thing where they have to, not only are the judges choosing three people they didn't like, one each, means that, say, this Judge A and Judge B don't like Y, but they have to choose. Judge A chooses Y, Judge B can't choose Y, Judge B has to choose X. So they basically are going to the next person down the line. So, yeah, it's the top three least favourite, but not necessarily, because you could have someone who thinks their least favourite is someone, and then someone else who thinks the same, but they can't vote again, so they're going to have to vote for someone else. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I get that. That's sort of the normal judging process. I know that sometimes it can get a bit blurred from their efforts. Could just be the people they didn't find good that week, or the people that they just don't like at all, or the people who've made a bad impression in the talking segment, in Tough Enough at the end. But anyway, when you get to the bottom three, you find out that the people get to vote. So you're not voting for your least favourite, you're voting for your favourite. So there's three, and you vote for your favourite, which is kind of a weird way of doing it, I would say, because, well, you're voting for your favourite, so they're all voting for their favourite, so they could be voting for A, B, and C, and obviously the most popular is going to win, right? You're left with two then, because you vote for one, and a lot of people vote for that one person, maybe, and there's two others, and you might say that, I like one of the others really a lot, and then I don't like the other one. You can't vote for that other person, so you're not voting for your least favourite, so your least favourite might beat your second favourite. So I know something about that seemed wrong. I don't know, as we'll go on, if that'll make any problems, but it already has really had some issues, because some good people have gone home due to the voting process. that really shouldn't have been in the bottom 3 in the first place, I don't think. But yeah, a lot of the power goes to the judges, because whoever they put in the bottom 3, one of them is guaranteed to go home. So it's just a matter of lottery, really, to see who gets in the bottom 3. And then the voting, even, I have to comment on the voting. The voting is done pretty weirdly. So they'll talk about the voting, they'll wait a few minutes, they'll open the voting, they'll go to ads, they'll come back, they'll talk for a few more minutes, showcase the bottom 3, let them have their final say, then they'll go to ads, they'll come back, they'll close the voting. So it's like this 7-minute time period, I would say, 6 or 7 minutes, where people get to vote. And the warning is pretty much shown throughout the episode, and they're saying it throughout the whole thing, they're commenting on how you can vote, comment this number, or ring this number, there's an app you can do it with, there's all these different things, but it's a 7-minute gap, and you may miss it, so it's definitely important that you get it, you actually stay attentive to vote. So I think that some people who watch the show might forget to vote or not be able to vote, because they might go to ads and then they won't go back for a while and find out the winner is. So yeah, the episode, the last bit is quite, quick. It kind of picks up a pace there, and then suddenly at the very end, the last 2 minutes, the voting closes of the episode, and then what happens is they'll announce the person who loses. They might have a bit of fighting, but they quickly just go and say, okay, you're out. You don't lose, but you're out, what I'm saying. And anyway, then they quickly end the episode. So, yeah, it's very brief. Obviously, it's completely fast-paced. For me, it's a little too much focusing on the whole judging bit. Not enough on the actual competitors in their lives in the actual barracks. A lot of it is just them talking about what's going on. And really, it is slightly, in my opinion, less entertaining than previous seasons. I'm just judging this on the first season even. It felt a lot more... I mean, the previous episodes were like 22 minutes long, so they used that time to focus on the actual thing, and they wouldn't have any voting process in every episode. It would be just completely the judges in the barracks with the people. So this is definitely a completely shock for me, or a culture shock, I would say, to get into this new style of voting, judging, the whole new reality show which they're sort of bringing in. It's definitely completely focused at the new generation of voters so it could be on the Tough Enough app. I personally don't have the Tough Enough app. I don't know how that works. I may think of getting it. The thing is, I will be inclined to think I'm probably not going to vote. One of those people. A lot of people will be like that, yeah. But that's not the biggest thing is probably that, well, the people who do vote make their honest decisions, and if I really would like someone to win, I'm probably not going to vote for them. I'm not going to vote for anyone anyway. That's sort of like the last resort for me if I really, really want someone to not be in the bottom of the 3. So that's my little rant there. Yeah, Tough Enough. I'm going to continue watching it, next, how many episodes there is, probably like 12 or something, like there usually is in the season. But yeah, we move on to Tough Talk, which is the extra 30-minute bit that you add on, which is sort of like they've aired all these on YouTube, by the way, so you can go watch them. But Tough Talk, it definitely is I think, or even more enjoyable than the actual show. I definitely recommend to watch it if you've seen the main show. And so Tough Talk definitely opens up a whole new veil on the competitors. Hosted by The Miz, he's very well done at hosting the show. He goes in and talks completely off the cuff with the guys. Everyone gets to say, and hilarity ensues, especially episode 3. If you watch that, you really enjoy it. But basically, the judges sort of take us a passenger seat to what's going on, because what, the elimination's already been made, the competitor can speak out. It's like a good extension that I think is duly deserved from Tough Enough, because Tough Enough really just skims past the whole elimination of the competitor. So this definitely brings it back up, and we get to see a live audience reacting in the moment. So definitely there's pluses of the live audience and judging process and everything that goes on around that, and it definitely does add to the whole atmosphere of the place, and it gives us, I don't know, a nice bit of entertainment to follow up, just to let you calm down after the friggin' madness. But it's still mad. I mean, so I'm going to go straight over and talk about all the competitors, which ones got eliminated. Our first week, Hank got eliminated. I never really liked Hank that much. He was a little bit, I don't know, I guess it was the first week. It was hard to make a decision. That was probably the most agreeable decision I could think of. So I agreed with that. Second week, I also agreed was Alex. That makes sense to me. I thought that, okay, I liked him a little bit. You know, he had a physicality to him, but personally, he just wasn't the right person at all to do the whole wrestling thing. So yeah, it was fine for him to go. Our third week, we saw the departure of Diana, who just left. She was quite a, I don't know, hateable person in the whole barracks. Made sense, but she ended up, actually there's a lot of backstage stuff that went on. You can go listen to that somewhere else. But personally, I think it wasn't actually the heat in the house that was making her leave. So Diana had some backstage stuff. She had to depart. So that was actually our first person who quit. I think we've had some injuries in the early stages of the competition before we got to our final 13, and people quit. We saw the return of ZZ, but yeah, this is our first big departure by their own choice in the whole barracks Tough Enough. Our third week was the most controversial. We had a bottom three that are basically top three, I'd say, most favourite competitors in the whole thing. It was Sarah Lee, it was ZZ, and it was Daria. And they all had they've all been pretty popular, especially ZZ, who we obviously knew who wasn't going home. Daria, I really like Daria personally. I think that it was a mistake because she was actually voted bottom. Sarah Lee, who seriously, okay, yeah, like her for some in some way. I do root for her sometimes, but I think that Daria deserved it a little bit more than she did, or at least earned it. So that was sort of a bad decision, I think, personally. We're down to our last few, I guess 12 or something. We're gonna get a new person next week, which I heard of. So that basically gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think 10 people. So we're going to have like 10 people left, or 11 or something like that. But yeah, it's interesting because we're going to have an extra person go into the house for the 4th week, so we're going to see how people react to that, and that will just add more drama, so that's good for the show. And I guess that was sort of a good PR decision made by the people of Tough Enough, who created the show, obviously. So Tanner, he's quite a, I wouldn't say, yeah, he's quite a, I just don't like his really attitude too much. Yeah, he's one of the most fit person there. Basically, he's quite small, he can definitely run and stuff and win a few challenges, and everyone's sort of got a bit of I don't know, a little bit of a annoyance from Tanner because he's just showing off really. So he ended up getting in a fight with Patrick. Patrick is the main rival of Tanner. Patrick, personally, I actually really like Patrick. I'm kind of rooting for him. If I could pick anyone to win the show for the male department, I would probably say either Patrick or I'm gonna say Mada. Personally, those two really show something, some actual determination. Two of really the only ones that I really think that actually could actually have a proper chance of doing anything in WWE, because they have the right attitudes, and that's the most important thing of all. Even before the physical, the mental stuff, they can actually be there and do stuff and make something of what they get. So definitely, hopefully, they'll be in the final few. Others from the girls' side, I think, will do well. Sarah, I think, is quite popular, so I think she will do well. Personally, she did get quite a big vote from the women's side of things. It was easy. I don't think he's going to win, obviously. But you know what? He's probably going to end up doing something in WWE. I just think it. He's definitely got a lot of determination with him as well. But you know what? He's probably not going to win. Let's be honest here. He might get quite far, but he's not going to win. From the girls' side, I think the one from Australia, you know what, Georgia, I think she's alright chance, but certainly I don't think she's going to win. I think it would be Sarah Lee if I had to choose someone else. If I had to choose Georgia, okay, maybe, but I think Amanda will win or Sarah Lee. So there you go. There are my picks for winning. Tough enough. Hopefully that made some sense to you guys on my opinions on the show. Yeah, it's very different from what I'm used to in old days, but I kind of expected this of the new show. I think that I'm going to continue to watch it because I find a lot of entertainment from, especially from the Tough Talk. I think I'm quite good. I still love the show, so definitely enjoy watching this. I definitely recommend this to anybody who hasn't watched it. Go watch it on YouTube. The first 3 episodes are up, with also the Tough Talks, which are also up on YouTube. They're about 45 minutes long each. The Tough Talks are 30 minutes. Not really, it's not, if you're rushing on time, don't watch the Tough Talks, or just watch the normal Tough Nuffs. But if you really want some extra laughs and real entertainment, personally, comes from Tough Talk. So go and watch those too. Make sure, because it's free on YouTube, and if you don't even have the WWE Network, or if you really want to get the WWE Network, go watch it on YouTube and try it out, and then you can probably go watch it on the network. So I don't know if they're going to do this every week for the YouTube channel, but they certainly have them on the network. So I think this is a good way to transition over to the network, try out other shows. This is definitely like a good entryway into other stuff that we have produced in the past, and like Total Divas, it's very reality based, but this one, it's up to you guys in some ways. So you know what, everyone has a say in this show, I guess, in some ways. But that's it from me, guys. This is the end of, this is not the end of Wrestle-Talk yet. Personally, I have a few more things to comment on. We're going to comment on some rumors that are going on at the moment, guys, because you know what, I haven't talked about any of this at the moment, and we're going to go over a few little tidbits of information here. CM Punk shooting for December UFC debut. Why wrestling is a challenge. UFC has several quotes from CM Punk taken from this week's International Fight Week in Los Angeles. So this is from WrestleZone. I say this all the time. I'd love to fight tomorrow, but I just want to be as prepared as possibly can, and I will be. I'm still shooting for December. It might be January, I'm not sure, but I'll be ready when I fight. So this is like December 2015, January 2016. Somewhat ironically, the former WWE champion noted that his wrestling game has actually been the most challenging part of training for his first professional MMA fight. Wrestling is probably my hardest day just because that's the grind. You're constantly in somebody's face. You're not trying to give up any ground. It's no secret I didn't wrestle in high school or anything like that. Everybody I trained with did, so they have a lifetime experience, but I love that. UFC President Dana White said in a recent interview that he loved Punk's attitude and was hoping to see him fight at some point in early 2016. There's no rush, however. Despite the 37-year-old's age and relative lack of experience inside the MMA cage, Punk noted the final decision for when he fights is made by his coaches, and there's no pressure on him from any higher-ups in the UFC to rush into battle before he's ready. So you know what, CM Punk has sort of gone over this time and time again, and he's definitely not, giving us too much. But you know what, I think he's going to wait a while till he starts actually getting in the zone. I think he's trying to keep this on the down low, so he's definitely not right there yet where he wants to be. And the funny thing is, he's finding the wrestling quite hard. And yes, it's going to catch up with him. He doesn't have the same experience as the others do, by any mark of the, or any stretch of the imagination. And yes, he's wrestles, in WWE. That's a completely different ball game. He's walking into the unknown, and you know what? I kind of commend him for what he's doing, but at the same time, I really think that, as I've said before, he needs to take just one step at a time and not rush into anything. I think Mick Foley talks to someone else on CM Punk and UFC. And we're going to go into that for 1 second. The latest episode of You're Welcome with Chael Sonnen has been posted, and this week the UFC veteran sits down with WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley. The two discuss Foley's one-man show and taking it easy in 2015, the difference in storytelling and cutting a promo, the all-around art of pro wrestling, and among the others, subjects CM Punk. Sonnen tells a funny story about him, CM Punk, and a few other guys in Chicago, including one of the bosses of UFC, driving to a restaurant in an old beaten-down car that former WWE champion had kept because he didn't want to spend money on a new one. On CM Punk's transition into the UFC and his chances of winning a fight. I don't know who he's going to do, honestly, how he's going to do it. I don't, but I know no one will work outwork him. No one will out-train him. He'll leave it all in there and the octagon. I know he's taking it very seriously, and we'll all find out. If he's not successful, it sure won't be for a lack of trying. Foley also retold a story about Vince McMahon wanting to cover up his face as a stipulation for hiring him back in the 90s, and the role The Undertaker played getting him in the door, on which NXT is going to be next to break through and become a WrestleMania main eventer. So there is some stuff that he talked about in YouTube, which I'm not going to get to. You can go check it out on WrestleZone, where all the rumours from WTNA and ROH are found. Definitely go recommend that website. That is pretty nice. In terms of other stories, that's pretty much all I have to talk about. There you go, guys. That's it from Wrestle-Talk. I'd like to see you all in the next Wrestle-Talk, which will be up sometime in the coming weeks. I know I'm busy next week from Tuesday till Sunday, so I won't be home. So, you know what? My Wrestle-Talk will not come next week. It will be most likely the week after next, which will be the following Monday. Anytime that week, I'm definitely going to be free all that time for the remainder of July and all of August. So definitely it's going to be a great month for YouTubing next month, but also the remainder of July. I'm going to be here to watch Battleground. That's all going to be good. I'm going to hear all the latest news. I'm sorry I didn't touch on Raw this week. Just wasn't too bothered about that. I know Brock Lesnar wrecked a car, injured someone in the crowd. That's all I really remember. But you know what? That's it from me, guys. I'll see you. So it'll probably be about a week and a half until I see you guys again, which, you know what, isn't too long to wait. So thank you guys for watching very much. Make sure to like, subscribe, favorite, comment below, and do all you can to support me and give me your opinions. Comment below on what you want to see me do next, or just keep on watching these enjoyable Wrestle Talks. See you all next time.